All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
What is going on, everybody? This is Mike Hughes, and you are listening to Skytown, everything Chicago Sky-related podcast, brought to you by the All Sports, All Plays Network, brought to you by, obviously, the Chicago Sky. We have a lot to unpack today. I'm super excited about it. We have two great interviews with Emma Meesseman, one of the players of the game, and another big player of the game, our very own Rebekah Gardner, doing her thing. It was an amazing game against the Connecticut Sun last night. A game, James Wade even attests, how great the Connecticut Sun are. And before we get that out of the way, we're not going to act like we completely trample them. They played a great game. The Chicago Sky came out with the win, 83-79. They beat a 10-3 team going into this game. The Connecticut Sun were 10-3, so they're a very good ball club. They really do their thing. They have some hoopers on that team. Some individuals that really know the game of basketball. So it's definitely an amazing win, especially after a tough loss just the other night against Washington with a no call with Candace Parker. Could have took the sweep, but we're moving on to bigger and better things. For Candace Parker to get the last two free throws of the game too, I feel like it definitely does attest to, it just being a very good feeling. It's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing way to end out this road trip. We have one more against New York, and hopefully we'll take that as well. We'll take 2 of the 3 on the road trip. But it's definitely a great feeling. I'm super excited about, what this means for the team in the second half of this season, because we are 12 games in now. The Chicago Sky sit at 8-4, ladies and gentlemen, and could easily be 10-2. That's just the reality of the situation for me. We start off the season a little rough just because of injuries, and building that team chemistry with new individuals like Lee, Rebekah Gardner, Emma Meesseman, and many others. So it's definitely, and obviously Julie just made her debut last night as well. So congratulations to Julie on playing her first game as a member of the Chicago Sky. But it's definitely something to where, this team is not where they want to be. And I think a lot of people have made that clear that they're not where they want to be. But we're definitely on our way there. So I'm super excited about that. I'm super excited to see, what this team really has moving forward. Are they going to be just an average or a normal playoff team, or are they going to be able to make a deep run again? And I think that's the expectation right now, is they're going to be able to make a deep run. But with that being said, let's get into the box score really quickly. We're going to start off with the Connecticut Sun. Jaquel Jones had 7, 2, and 14 and 35. A great game for her, rebounding the ball on both sides of the floor. Bonner had 18, 3, and 2 and 37. Thomas had 11, 8, and 4 and 35. Williams had 9, 3, and 5 and 28. Heidman had 9, 3, and 2 and 23. And Brianna Jones, there's 2 Jones on this team. It's not the deepest of rosters when it comes down to, how many individuals are going to play in the rotation. They have a lot of bodies. And don't get it twisted, they have a lot of hoopers on this team, but it's a very short roster. I feel like the Las Vegas Aces are kind of the same way, where you look at their bench, and you kind of have that understanding of, it's a solid bench, but, Becky Hammond is definitely going to keep her girls in with, who she sees fit, and they're not going to force individuals onto the floor, unless need be. But, Brianna Jones, 20, 0, and 5 and 25. Carrington had 5, 1, and 3 and 16. It was definitely a solid game by the Connecticut Sun. They had a great game plan. Unfortunately, for them, the Chicago Sky had a better one, and James Wade came out to play. These girls came out, and these women came out, and they played great defensive ball. I can't even sit here and act like, it was an offensive driven game. Obviously, Emma Meesseman had over 20 points in the first half of the game, 13 points in the first quarter. I mean, Emma Meesseman, the player of the game, 26, 4, and 5 in 32 minutes. I forgot how many deflections and blocks she had as well, but I mean, she was on a tear defensively, has really come into her own. And we interviewed her early on during the year, about a month ago, the beginning of May, about her role on this team. and we're going to have an interview from her in just a few minutes, but it's definitely a conversation to where, defensively, she knew where she was going to be on this team and she knew where her role was going to lie. But offensively, in the last few games of this stretch, she's really coming to her own, and I'm just so excited for what that means for the rest of this season. Candace Parker, however, had 18, 5, and 3 and 34, definitely had another bounce back game after a few rough games against, obviously, the Las Vegas Aces and a couple other matchups. Kalia Copper had 6, 2, and 5 and 28. Quiet night from Cobb, but obviously Emma Meesseman was doing her thing, so we can't even be mad about it. Quiggs had 7, 6, and 4 and 33. Vandersloot had 8, 8, and 4 and 28. Dana Evans had zeros across the board, only played about 5 minutes. Stevens had 2 minutes, 2 points, 0 assists, and 0 rebounds in 10 minutes. And Rebekah Gardner with 14 points, 0 assists, 5 rebounds in 17 minutes. And congratulations to Rebekah Gardner. The ongoing joke right now in Sky Media is that she made the scouting report. It's definitely, something where, in all seriousness, she deserved to be on the scouting report from the very beginning, because she is a hooper's hooper for real, and everybody in the league knew that. The only difference is that she's a rookie, obviously an older rookie, and no one's really seen her game because she's been in overseas for so long. So, to the average fan who doesn't know who Rebekah Gardner is, it's starting to be felt, and the presence is being known that Rebekah Gardner is a hooper. Rebekah Gardner is a defensive problem. She is out there teeing people up. She is out there stealing the ball in ways that you haven't seen a woman do in the WNBA in a very long time, and she's doing it in a fashion to where she has this chip on her shoulder. She's very humble. She's an amazing individual, but when it's game time, she's a different breed and she's a different individual, and we've had amazing conversations with her. I've been grateful enough to build a connection with her so far this season, and being able to talk to her several times on it, and we're going to have an interview with her as well, kind of leading back into our early conversations into the year, because I knew Rebekah Gardner from overseas, but it's definitely that conversation of, now you're here. Everybody understands that. How are they game planning for you now? It's a totally different conversation. So really quick, we're going to get into the interviews already with Rebekah Gardner and Emma Meesseman from last night. I hope you guys enjoy it. It was 2 amazing answers. And I love picking these women's brain because they are so detailed in their answers, and it's always a blast.
Hey, Rebekah. First of all, I want to say congratulations on being in the scouting report and on this win. But for you, in all seriousness, we talked about very early on in the season at Wintrust during a practice that, coming overseas, you played against very physical women and in a very physical game. How much of that can you attest to, playing as many physical teams as we have as of late with the Vegas Aces and so many others?
Yeah, I definitely think this past year, it was my first year in EuroLeague, and EuroLeague is a great league, and it's also very physical, and also there's a 3-second rule overseas, so I feel like it's sometimes even more physical in the painted area. So definitely that has prepared me for playing physical teams like Connecticut and, like you said, Vegas. So definitely. I would say, like I said, EuroLeague definitely prepared me.
And Emma, for you, early on in the season, we talked about how, defensively, you knew where you were going to be when it came to this team and your role on this team. But offensively, you wanted to kind of find your place. And with so many ball handlers on this team, it was going to be, ups and downs in the beginning. And throughout the last 4 to 5 games in this stretch, you've been very consistent with your numbers. What could you say you've been doing to allow yourself to be so consistent?
I just try to keep moving because I'm a player that plays off of the other teammates. And if I cut, it's either I'm open or I get my teammate open. So I even had some moments with Beck that she just moves and she gets an open layup. So that's basically what I always do. And just lately, I think that's being the part of being new to the team, that the others have to learn how I play, and I have to learn and speak how I want them to, get me in the game. And I think today that worked really well, and we'll see for the next few games how that goes.
Thank you.
It's definitely that conversation. I didn't like the way I said thank you at the end, by the way. I had something in my throat. I think you could hear it the entire time. It really pissed me off. But it was not to get off topic, but I was literally sitting there, and right as they called me, I took a bite of something. I was eating food, and then like it got stuck in my throat. But you know when it's not really there, and we're not gonna get too off topic, but like you know when you're eating something and it gets stuck in your throat, but it's not really there, it just kind of scratches your throat, so it's like a tickle. That's how it felt. So I do apologize for that if that wasn't the greatest audio for one of my interviews. But you know, with that being said, though, kind of attesting to what Rebekah said, coming from overseas and Emma as well, you know, playing in Russia and understanding you know, what it takes to win basketball games over there. It's a very physical, demanding game. So for them coming over here, you know, they truly do just obliterate certain teams and certain schemes because they understand what it's going to take, and there's so much more freedom, I guess you could say, with the ball in the WNBA versus overseas, and it's the same way in the NBA as well. You know, when you look at the G League, even and the overseas game over there in Lithuania and so many other places, it's definitely that conversation of, you know, you're gonna have to play a little dirty, and you're gonna get away with playing a little dirty. You know, or being more physical, you should say, not more so dirty, but just, you know, calls that would be called here aren't going to be called out there. So you're a little bit more free here, and where, you know, you're able to just kind of just be you. You know what I mean? And defensively, you know, you're a step above everybody else because you've already kind of played this 90s, 80s style of basketball overseas. Now you're in this new era of basketball where, you know, these tacky fouls and all this other stuff. But I'm not trying to get fined right now, just like Candace. But it's definitely that conversation. You know, I got a niece and she got diapers, so I'm not trying to deal with that. You know, we got diapers to buy, so it's definitely something, though. In all seriousness, where I just feel like her game has continued to flourish, and offensively, it's consistent as well. You know, Rebekah's really becoming an offensive difference. You know, Quiggs getting taken out of the game in the last 2 minutes for a defensive effort by Rebekah Gardner speaks volumes, because Quiggs has been in this league for over 10 years, and she's been a part of this organization for over 10 years. So for Allie Quigley, you know, to be so unselfish, and Courtney Vandersloot as well, even in situations with Dana Evans, they're so unselfish, and I love that from them. I truly do think, you know, that's a big part of this team, and that's a big part of what makes these individuals like Dana Evans, you know, like Azurá Stevens, like Rebekah Gardner, so easy to plug in, is that not more so that they are allowed to, but there is no conflict of interest when it comes to the starting players. You know what I mean? Like the faces of this franchise aren't upset. Candace Parker sits on the bench for almost the entire third quarter against the Las Vegas Aces because she felt like that was the best situation for the team to be able to climb back from an 18-point deficit and knock it down to 4-point deficit. You know, she felt like this is the exact situation she needs to be in. She needs to be leading the charge on the bench, and she needs to be that role player and helping design plays with James Wade and company, and the coaching staff. And so I definitely love this team. I think they're so unselfish, and they really do their thing. And for Emma to even be as unselfish as she has, you know, she's coming from, you know, being a WNBA Finals MVP. You come into this team, you understand on most teams you're a number one, number two option, and you come into a team that's already solidified, already won a championship, and you understand, I'm going to take a back seat for the first month or so, kind of find my footing. I didn't like the way I said find your place. I feel like find your footing would have been a better term, because on this team it's so different when it comes to finding your place, because you're not always going to be the number 3, number 4 option. You're going to be a 2 on nights. Obviously Emma had a night last night where she was the number 1 option. 13 points in the first quarter, 20 something points at half, ending with 26. She definitely is a hooper for real. And I hope she didn't take it that way in the way I said it. But it definitely wasn't intended to be that way. But it's definitely something to where the Chicago Sky are on a pretty good run right now. And I think that's an obvious statement to make. But when you look at the next few teams that they have to play, not that the worst of it's over, because obviously we have a whole nother half of this season to play. But, obviously you have the Atlanta Dream, the New York Liberty, the Indiana Fever. You have to play the Vegas Aces again. Hopefully you get, your lick back for the Los Angeles Sparks. And then you have the Minnesota Lynx, the Sun again, the Mercury, the Lynx, the Fever. I mean, it's a pretty solid schedule all around. And shout out to Atlanta, by the way, because I disrespected Atlanta on our WNBA show on the All Sports All Plays Network, the ASAP Network. It's called Beyond the Rim. It's every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, and it's Megan Price, Alana Trapp, and myself. And we did not think the Atlanta Fever were going to be even close. The Atlanta Dream. I don't know why I said that. The Atlanta Dream were going to be even close to as good as competitive as they are right now. So shout out to them. They definitely proved me wrong. And the Minnesota Lynx are making me look awful right now. So, you win some and you lose some. You win some and you lose some. But 8-4 right now. The team has been doing solid. The team has been doing amazing. I couldn't be happier with it. I think obviously you just have to win some games. Every single game they've lost so far, in the 4 games they've lost, they've been competitive. They've been in it. So I think the sky is truly still the limit with this team. I'm super excited about it. I can't wait to see where they continue to go the rest of this season. And I think it's going to be a very long second half of the season, but it's definitely going to be worth it come playoffs. I think we're going to see some individuals get rested a little bit more, like Sloot or Candace or obviously Quiggs, but we're definitely still going to be able to play elite ball at a very high level. We're not going to see them getting rested every other game, but it's definitely going to be something down the stretch. You want to give them a breather because you do understand we do have bigger goals than just, winning conference. We have a bigger picture. We were almost a 500 team damn near going into the playoffs last year, and we won a WNBA championship. So I definitely do think there is a bigger picture and there is a bigger idea of what we're trying to do right now. And I think we have the blueprint. James has the blueprint. I trust James with everything. Because he's very real about not only himself, but the individuals around him and the situations that he's in. And I understand Candace knows that as well. And obviously so does Emma, and so does Rebekah, and so does everybody else on this roster from top to bottom. So, I do really, really just bring out just the best in all of these women because they really do their thing. Did I do the entire box score for the Chicago Sky? I don't even think I did. Lee had 2, 0, and 1 and 7, and Julie Aldman had 0, 0, and 2 in 7 minutes. Now, obviously, her game is going to take a little bit while just to get a good rhythm with the team. But at 25 years old, I'm super excited. Going to be turning 26 soon on July 7th. So happy early birthday to Julie Aldman. But I'm super excited to see what she's going to bring for her game. I think obviously there's a lot to like. I feel like she's a post-up shooter. She's a great ball handler. She really does her thing, so I think she's a great addition to this team. Like we said in last episode, I would like it if they could grab another shooter, and I think Julie can be exactly that. Now, is she going to be a 3-point shooter? Time will tell. But I definitely do look at her game and what she did in Belgium, and it's definitely that conversation of, she can hold her own as well. Playing overseas, it's a different breed. It's a different era. It's like they're I don't even know how to describe overseas basketball. It is literally fun. I don't want to say they're stuck in the old days, because it sounds like a negative knock, but it is such a positive thing because I miss it. I wish we could do hand checking. I wish we could have all these other rules, like Rebekah said, the 3-second clock. That's insane. And it speeds up the game and it makes it more competitive. So I think, there's a lot to unpack with that. And when you have women coming from overseas, and even when you have men coming from overseas, you have to understand you're getting a different breed, whether that be Giannis Antetokounmpo, obviously, you have Luka Doncic and many others, Dirk Nowitzki, the list goes on. Joel Embiid, you have great individual players, and they're going to continue to get better every single day. So I'm super excited about that. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening. This is another episode of Skytown. We are 8-4 after 12 games, ladies and gentlemen. Do not pump the brakes. We need to keep going. We need to keep getting better. I want to see us compete this year. I want that conference championship. I want to be there. I want that division championship. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Hughes from Mike on the Mic. You can find me on all of these social media accounts right down below. You can pause the episode, freeze it, screenshot it, whatever you got to do, and find me there. You can find me on the All Sports All Plays Network. Definitely give them a shout out. Definitely show them some love. They do amazing shows, amazing productions. Obviously, Beyond the Rim, WNBA specific show hosted by Megan Price, Alana Trapp, and myself on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Central. So definitely check those out. Obviously, Mike on the Mic podcast. If you want to show that some love, I truly would appreciate it. I haven't been as consistent as I want to be. But you can find these episodes on there as well because it's definitely a segment with Mike on the Mic. So with that being said, thank you guys for listening. This is Mike Hughes from Skytown, baby. Let's go. All Sports, All Plays Network. We're out.
All Sports, All Plays. All Sports, All Plays. All Sports, All Plays. 365, we making a plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.